The NBA All-Star Game was there last night, and no defense was played. You got LeBron James, his 20th All-Star, breaking the record with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the most in history. And LeBron at 39 can still do that. Had just 8 points in 14 minutes. But look at this. I mean, that is not right.
It's disrespectful to the GOAT.
It is. Right between the legs. You know, the East led by 15 at this point. Under 4 minutes to go in the half. Damian Lillard pulling up. Step back three. He had 22 in the first half. East led by big time. They tied an all-star record for the most points at a half. And then look at Luka.
What the F?
Ain't he like 6'12"?
Oh, my God. And then look, Dame back from half court. Dame Lillard had 33 through 3 quarters. And then the East leading 197 to 176. Tyrese Halliburton, that was for 200 points.
Okay.
First team with 200 points in an all-star game. And then Karl Anthony Towns, he's going to hit a three. Yo, Cat had 50. He had 50 last night and wasn't the MVP. 31 in the fourth quarter. And then Lillard pulls up from half court. He had 39. The East wins this 211 to 186. Lillard, the Kobe Bryant MVP. Here's Damian and LeBron after the game.
It's a deeper dive into a conversation of how we can shore up this game. Obviously, from a player's perspective, you know, it's fun to get up and down, but at the end of the day, our competitive nature don't like just being able to just have free-flowing scoring like that.
There's a way to make it a more competitive game. I don't think anybody's going to play in it like it's the playoffs, but it's a way to get guys to come to the table and just play a more solid game, I guess.
All right, bringing Brian Windhorst. And Wendy, what's been the league's reaction with this All-Star game where nearly 400 points were scored, just 2 personal fouls?
Oh, there's a way to get them to play harder, Brian, and that's to pay them. You know, Adam Silver came at the start of the season. He had 3 priorities for this year. 1, he wanted players to stop resting as much, and he put a financial penalty in for teams if players rested on national television games where they weren't injured. That has gone way down. There's been a couple of penalties done, and teams have really knocked it off. 2, he wanted the players to really invest in the in-season tournament. He offered $500,000 to the winning team, $300,000 to second place. We saw great buy-in and guys talking about the money all the way through. And 3, he wanted the All-Star game to be more competitive, made a whole bunch of changes, went back to the East-West format, eliminated a lot of the pre-game ceremony to let them focus on the game. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. There was no money involved, and so the players just went out there and had fun. Adam Silver didn't seem too thrilled. He pretty much, rushed through the trophy presentation and expressed his annoyance. But look, I'll show you the incentive, and you can predict the result, and that's what happened here.
But you know, you're going to hear fans say, I'm sorry, don't they make enough already? Shouldn't it be an honor to be an All-Star? So how do you then fix the All-Star game?
You write a check. And right now the NBA is trying to sell the All-Star game. They're in the middle of media rights negotiations. They want to continue to make it a premium product. But look, I think if you just look at Luka Doncic, look at this right here. This is a guy who's leading the NBA in scoring. He had scored 7 points in this game. He took this shot from 65 feet and joked that it was a 2-for-1. He obviously doesn't care. He's leading the NBA in scoring. He thought it was important for him to score 7 points in this game, laughed the whole way through. If you don't give them an incentive when you've already established that you will incentivize other things, then this is the way they're going to react. You can debate about whether that's a bad policy and whether that was a mistake to get to that point, but that's where we are right now. And look, the players had fun. They're having a grand old time. There's very little incentive for them to change having fun and not really breaking a sweat.
But how do we?
The interesting thing is because they make so much more money, I know fans are going to be like, why should we give them even more money? Because it should be an honor to be an All-Star. Brian Windhorst, what are the 3 things that you're watching for in the second half of the NBA season?
Hey, how about the new 2-timeline starting lineup for the Golden State Warriors? This means the young guys, Brandon Pajemski and Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup and Klay Thompson out. This lineup has been extremely impressive in limited minutes together. That is why Steve Kerr went to it. Klay comes off the bench his first game, scores 35, season high. Now, I'm not expecting that to continue, but the Warriors really have no margin for error. They're in 10th place. They need to go with the gas right now. the best option is to go with this lineup. They've won 6 of their last 7. They got a 3-game homestand coming back. Let's see if it can keep going, but that's the way they're going to keep playing. Look, I know you can rip the Milwaukee Bucks and sound the alarms. They have not played well with Doc Rivers as their head coach, particularly offensively. Going from the number 2 offensive team in the league to 19th under Doc Rivers. But I'm going to tell you something. They have actually looked better on defense. And Hembo tells me their shot quality looks better. They're just underperforming a little bit. Dame Lillard's in the middle of a ridiculous slump. He had a great weekend. Maybe it spurs them. I'm not giving up on the Bucks yet. Neither should you. And then, of course, we have the Lakers. The Lakers went into the break having won 8 of 11. And in that stretch, they had their hottest offensive period since Showtime, since 1987. A lot of it is tied to D'Angelo Russell being red hot since he's been put in the starting lineup as the point guard. They're playing very well, playing bigger. Now, I'm a little bit worried about LeBron's ankle. He said yesterday that he may need some more time off to get treatment on it, including maybe missing Thursday's game against the Warriors. But the Lakers are riding high offensively and giving themselves a chance to get out of the play-in zone.
Okay, now before yesterday's All-Star game, Wendy, you know, LeBron James addressed his future and the uncertainty of what lies ahead.
I have not mapped out how many seasons I have left. I know it's not that many, but I am a Laker, and I am happy and been very happy being a Laker the last 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way. But I don't have the answer to how long it is or which uniform I'll be in. Hopefully it is with the Lakers. It's a great organization and so many greats, but we'll see. I don't know how it's going to end, but it's coming. It's coming for sure.
Okay, Wendy, let's parse through those words because you know when LeBron speaks, there's a method to the madness. How should we expect LeBron? Do you think we expect him to finish his career as a Laker in L.A.?
I do, and I think that he definitely left the door open, especially in the wake of the talks between the Lakers and the Warriors about a trade there. And that is just his nature. He is basically already negotiating for his contract. He can opt out of his contract at the end of the season and sign a new multi-year deal. He can also opt out of his contract and entertain other offers. But I'm just going to say, I wouldn't pay much attention to this outside the Lakers situation. 2 years ago, you may remember, he was annoyed the Lakers didn't do anything at the trade deadline. He went to Cleveland during All-Star weekend and said he wasn't closing the door on going back to Cleveland. Everybody got all up in arms. And a few months later, he signed a 2-year contract extension. So he loves playing in L.A. He loves playing for $50 million a year, which he would get staying in Los Angeles. And ultimately, that's where I think he's going to be.
Listen, I know he's 39, but you look at the numbers, and he's still been their best player. I'm talking about there in L.A. Are they wasting another great season by LeBron by not doing anything at the trade deadline?
I'm going to be honest with you. They are 4 games over 500 in the last 4 seasons, basically since they won that championship in the bubble. This is basically who they are. They're a 500 team where LeBron puts up great numbers. During this entire time, he has loved living in Los Angeles, and he is now approaching $50 million a year, which the Lakers can give him in multiple years, and a lot of other contenders couldn't. I'm sure there are days when he's upset and days when he dreams of other options, but he loves his situation, and I don't think he thinks he's wasting anything.
Now, look, ESPN was reporting that supposedly Golden State tried to make a deal and go get LeBron. Is the door closed on us ever seeing LeBron and maybe Steph playing together?
I definitely think the two teams could revisit it at the end of the season. LeBron could opt into his contract for an extra year and then sort of engineer a trade if he really wanted to. And I do think that depending on how the season ends for both of those teams, right now they're in 9th and 10th. If they end 9th and 10th and don't make it through the play-in tournament, I think anything's coming on the table. But again, LeBron loves living in Los Angeles. His family is in Los Angeles. His future and after the game is in Los Angeles. I would be a fool to rule anything out with LeBron, but I really don't think it's something that is seriously being considered. And if anything, it's a negotiating stance for him as he tries to get maybe one last multi-year contract.
Yeah, I heard him say at the All-Star game that that was the first time he had even heard of it, that news didn't even come to him, filter to him.
Yeah, I don't buy that for a second, but it was a nice thing to say. You have to incentivize them. You show you the incentive, and I'll show you the result. And I know that may be a turnoff, but that's where the NBA is right now. This year, the NBA had 3 priorities. Adam Silver laid this out very clearly. He wanted the teams to stop doing as much resting with star players in high-profile games. He put a financial penalty in if teams rested players who were not injured. He's issued some fines there. He wanted the players to be invested in the in-season tournament, which they were, thanks to a $500,000 prize for each player for winning. And he wanted the All-Star game to be competitive, which he made some changes, including going back to the East-West format. And it was not effective because it didn't have a financial component. And look, you can do this 100 different ways. You can make it a charity aspect, but the standard has been set that if the players are going to want to go to another level here, you're going to have to incentivize them to do so. And they don't seem to be too interested in doing it without it. Otherwise, they're just having fun. If you watched this game last night, there was a lot of smiles, not much sweat. Everybody was having a good time. I don't think they think there's a problem.
That's interesting. And you know the fans are going to be like, aren't these guys getting paid enough? If that's the case, should we expect these changes then with this All-Star game?
Well, I think they'll go back to the drawing board. If you saw Adam Silver in the trophy presentation last night, he was borderline disgusted. He all but threw the trophy at Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm like, well, you had the most points, so here you go. See you later. So I think they'll go back to the drawing board here. But I don't think there's a format change or anything like that. I mean, look, this game was summed up by the fact that Dame Lillard got booed when he got the MVP trophy because the fans stuck around hoping that it would go to Tyrese Halliburton. That, to me, summed up the night. They're obviously going to have to try to do something different because people say this is going away. It's not going away. They're trying to do a new TV rights deal with the All-Star game being at the center of it. So, and he set the standard that he will pay for things that he wants with bonus money. So that's where we are.